You are listening to the Garden Old Show every Thursday night, 7 o'clock. I'm Ryan. That's Vince. Vince, how are you, my friend?
Doing great, Ryan. Today was a great day. It's been a little bit of a crazy week, but today was a great day. And let me tell you why today was a great day. Actually, before we get into all that, if you're watching already, good for you. You're here at the beginning and you're going to get all the great stories that we may or may not tell. But also, if you don't mind, go ahead and share this link out uh, in your circle and hopefully get some more people in here. But I had some nieces and nephews over briefly after school, kind of coordinating, the things that uncles and aunts do. And they wanted to go upstairs. They went upstairs, and we have a bunch of Nerf guns, right? As you know, I'm a big Nerf fan,
Sure.
and I've got this one Nerf gun. It's the Nerf Rampage, which has got like basically the Tommy gun clip that goes in the side, right?
Yeah.
So my one nephew just can't get this thing to go, can't get this thing to go, and I'm like, okay, well, this is an uncle failure, right? So they left and went home. And you know what I've been doing for the last hour, Ryan?
Playing Nerf fights.
Taking that gun apart,
Did you get it fixed?
cleaned it all up, put it all back together like Forrest Gump. Why did you assemble your weapon so quickly? Because you told me to, drill sergeant,
Done, drill sergeant.
and it works.
Yeah, that's awesome. Boom. That's how we do
Boom.
it. And Vince, I want you to know a little inside baseball talk. Vince and I worked together for many years at a IT company. When I started at the IT company, they had Nerf. Everyone had Nerf guns, and a couple times a week, a Nerf gun fight would break out at this
Oh,
company.
for
Vince,
sure.
now that I live in Tampa, I'm working at a different IT company. I've started that tradition at the new one. Now it started with me and one other person, and now about half my team has Nerf guns, and it's all out war. In fact, Vince, I have a two-barrel shotgun, double-barrel shotgun that shoots about the hardest dart you've ever seen. So it's been a lot of fun continuing the tradition.
The tradition.
I'm basically just ripping off all the traditions from my previous company,
Well, what's
as
interesting
one would
about
do.
what's interesting about that is for a while there we were packing our new employees welcome baskets with a weapon because you don't want to go into your first day of work and realizing that you are in the middle of pretty much uh
A war zone.
all out war. So we don't do that anymore, but there's still quite a few darts around and quite a few guns. Ryan, do you remember? I never actually got this Nerf thing, but there was this remote control, like arachnid, like this spider
Yeah, I remember
with a
that. Yeah.
with a camera on it, and you could maneuver this thing around, and it had missiles on it, and you
Yeah.
could basically stealthily move it around and
Hmm.
take some people out. Those, hey man,
That's
I
the way to
may
do it.
be old, but my Nerf days are not over.
You are the old and garden old eternally, sir. Uh, Also eternally, just as a reminder to all of you, we do our salute to screw ESPN eternally. Uh, there you go. That's for the night. And real quick, hey guys, 197 away from
Yeah,
1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So if you are watching and you have not already subscribed, please subscribe because this is a fan funded channel. We love all of you. We love hearing from you. So comment, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And
I mean, just last week we
we're
were at
close.
213 away. So it is happening and is happening in a progressive trajectory, and we are almost there. And let's remind everybody, Ryan, while people are still joining the chat here, let's remind everybody what you promised last week.
Oh, yeah, of course. If we get to our goal of 1,000 subscribers before the release of NCAA football, or it's not called NCAA football anymore, EA Sports college football
Yes, because
video
the
game.
NCAA will not be around for too
Correct,
much longer.
which is good. If we reach our goal before that game is released, I will give away a copy of EA Sports college football, whatever copy you want. And if by some chance, now Vince,
Big one.
Scott,
This
but
is the big one.
things happened. Maybe we turn into one of these overnight sensations, Vince. If we get to 2,000,
This is the big one.
if we get to 2,000 subscribers before the EA Sports college football game is released, I myself will auction off a PS5 or Xbox Series X with a copy of EA Sports college football live on the Garden Old show. So 1,000 subscribers, you guys get a raffle of a game. 2,000, as crazy as that may sound, if you guys help us get there, a Series X or a PS5 and the game. So hey, Garden Old, we're in the game.
We are in the game, and you know who else was in the game early? Was Nathan Campbell. Was in the chat at 6:30 p.m. He's ready, he's locked, he's loaded. And Brett Taylor, by the way, we got to throw this up because I think Brett's got a good idea here. Promise the people this: FSU will announce they are leaving the ACC the day we hit 1,500 subscribers.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
Yeah, listen, as everyone knows, Vince and I have enormous power in the world of college football. I mean, people look at us and they say, look at this dominant channel.
Indeed.
And if I make one text, just one, hey, I'm going to text Jim Phillips. I'm going to say, you know what, just give it up. Just go ahead and dissolve it. And he'll get up on the podium at 1,500 subscribers and be like, just got off the phone with Garden Old. And we're going to just go ahead and let this thing roll up the river here. So, yeah, I hope Brett Taylor, I hope that's the case.
That would be fantastic.
All right. And for those of you who are here and who are joining, why don't you guys hop in the chat? Give us a little talking to, give us some questions, some comments. If you so feel inclined to support the Garden Old channel and you like us and listening to us every single week, Super Chat is available to you. It's not a requirement, but it's available to you because, again, fan-funded podcast show. Vince and I, as much as we are wanting to be rolling like a pimp, we are not. We are just normal guys, and we rely on.
Some would say abnormal guys.
We rely on kindness of people out there. So if you feel so inclined, super chat us. But let's get started on the show, Vince. First things first. 5 + 7 = ?
Yeah. What does it equal, Ryan? I mean, it was announced recently that they had come to an agreement that the next iteration of the college football pageant, we knew it would be 12, right? We already knew that, but we didn't know how it was going to break out. So let's talk about 5 + 7 first.
Yep.
The 5 is indicative of the 5 conference champions,
which may not even matter for much longer.
Correct. And then the 7 would be, whatever's next.
At large, essentially.
But there's some interesting things about this, and we'll get more into detail kind of as we talk about it. But this is kind of the way we knew it was going, but it wasn't agreed upon yet. Ryan, were you surprised by this? That's like the first question.
Not this year. I'm not surprised because even though a lot has changed, many of the conferences are still intact and still have conference championship games that would matter. Now, do I believe fully, Vince, that if 2 years from now the ACC either does not exist or is no one really left in the conference and they're in a lower league, and maybe the Big 12 is a little bigger, and maybe the Big 10 is bigger and the SEC is bigger, could I see a reality in which we move from conference champion representation to conference representation? Absolutely. I think that's not just likely, but I think it's almost a sure thing that you will see it. Hey, SEC, Big 10, and I think the Big 12. I think there's enough good teams in that league, and they're pretty aggressive on getting the scraps from the conferences that are torn apart. Well, you're going to see something like each team gets 2 teams in the playoff, and then it's at large based on rankings.
Yeah. So just to break it down a little bit with the 5 is basically goes like this. The top 4 conference champions in terms of ranking are going to get the top 4 seeds. Mm-hmm. So let's think about this for a second. Let's say the top 4 conference champions are currently ranked 9, 10, 11, and 12 in the poll. The poll.
Yeah.
When the committee meets with Kirk Herbstreit and his dog, they're going to take those 4 conference champions and make them seeds 1, 2, 3, and
So
4.
Vince, are you saying that conference champions matter enough to ignore potential what you feel
N-
about the team and
Now
put
they
them in
do.
the top 4?
Now they
Isn't
do.
that interesting?
It is interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you're basically going to automatically bump to seeds 1, 2, 3, and 4, and those top 4 seeds are going to have a bye. They're not going to have to play the first round. Then the 5th ranked conference champion then basically gets seeded. They're going to be in the 12, but they're going to get seated in wherever it makes sense for them to be seated. And then, of course, the rest of the 7 are at large. So that in and of itself, right? That's interesting because we've been told that the rankings matter, and that's where you're seated, and whatever. But you know what? We don't care if you're ranked. We don't care if you're ranked 20.
Yeah.
If you are
Which,
one of the
and it's happened. Listen, let's use an example. Recent history, 2017. Let's hypothetically say that Miami. Let's say no. Who was it? It was Georgia Tech.
yeah, it wasn't Miami.
It's 2016 or 2015, right? When Georgia Tech went to the ACC championship. Let's say a 4-loss Georgia Tech team. Hey man, right? The games they won were against Clemson and Florida State, and they tiebreaker their way into a backdoor into the ACC championship, and they win the ACC championship. Even if no one in their right mind thinks that Georgia Tech is one of the 4 best, most qualified teams to be in the top 4 or 5 potentially, it wouldn't matter in this new scenario. Whereas in previous years, an undefeated team conference champion was told not good enough. It's very
Right.
interesting.
Yep. Again, just rubbing salt in the wound.
Hmm.
Another interesting development on this is that Notre Dame cannot be in the top 4.
Which I do like that.
So they will never get a bye
Yeah.
in this scenario.
Is this incentive, Vince, enough for them to potentially consider joining a conference, in your opinion?
I don't probably not just this alone. No, I don't believe that to
I
be
agree.
the case.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. That part of it was interesting to me as well. And then for the teams that are going to be playing in the first round, basically the higher seed team is going to have a home game,
Yep.
which to me, okay, I kind of like that. If
Yeah.
I'm going to be in that, not in the top 4, um, but I'm playing a lower seed and we get to have a pageant game at Doak,
Sure.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I do like the home aspect of it. Uh, I like the idea of having playoff games at other team stadiums instead of neutral sites. That'll be exciting. It reminds me a ton, Vince, of you know NFL with how exciting wild card weekend is and the divisional round, right? Because it's kind of like anything can happen, man. This is going to be insane, and I love that part. In fact, I think that part of the NFL season is more exciting than the Super Bowl because you know all the mystery is taken out, and you usually are left with the matchup a lot of times that you predict would happen anyways. But um, there's nothing more exciting than wild card weekend, man. It's people going to sneak in, people going to get in backdoor into this thing. And do I think the 12 team college football playoff is good for college football? I do. It'll let more fan bases engage with the sport longer into the season. Because let's be honest, in the current way it's set up, let's say, hey, I am uh, Texas A&M, to use a former coach example. I'm Texas A&M, and as a Texas A&M fan in the past, up until this coming season, uh, you lost your 3rd game, and you got 3 games left. A lot of fans might say, okay, other than a meaningless bowl game, not a whole lot left for us. Maybe we're already out of the chase, right? We're already out of it. So I'm just going to tune out. You know what? I'm going to go have lunch instead of watching the game. Now, a whole lot of 3-loss teams, Vince, the last 4 games of the season, fan bases are going to be locked in saying, hey, hold on now. If we were to win, the final 4 games or 3 out of the last 4 games, and we beat this team and we beat that team, hey, maybe we're 11 in the rankings. Maybe we sneak in, and that's going to keep more people more engaged. And then, even more so, past conference championship week, it used to kind of be okay. The 4 fan bases that are in the playoff, they're of course locked in, super locked in, but everyone else, especially with how bowls have become like a joke, an afterthought, you might be like, I mean, I'll watch my bowl game. It's not too important. Well, now you're going to have 12 fan bases saying, oh, absolutely, I'm watching. And that's what this is really about, is driving more TV revenue.
Driving more TV revenue. And as you know, if you think about it from the schools that are going to be the home team in the bottom 8 there, think about the economic impact to those communities. Because it's going to be a huge draw, especially this first year, right? Whoever those teams that are 5 through 12, there's going to be a lot of buzz around that, and I'm like you, Ryan. I'm glad it's at 12. I know it's not going to stay at 12. I know it's going to get larger because money's going to make it get larger. But yeah, I mean, we went from the old times of fans were engaged pretty much like the whole season, right?
Yeah.
And then your bowl game, well, you were still engaged with that because it wasn't like this dictated playoff thing, right? So your bowl game was a reward and it was like enjoyable.
Yeah, and every player was playing in it.
And every player was playing, and maybe you didn't have a chance to get the AP national championship, but it didn't matter, right? Your team was still playing, and then it gradually morphed into what we have now, which is unless you're in the unfortunately, unless you're in the pageant, these other bowl games just don't draw like they used to.
Yeah.
Unless I will say, unless maybe your team hasn't done well or hasn't gone to a bowl game in quite a long time,
Yeah.
then you'll get some buzz. I mean, that happened
Yeah.
to us with the Cheez-It Bowl.
But not the blue bloods that have been at the top for a while.
Right. So you're not going to get that. But now when you start expanding the playoffs, then you're going to get more fan bases engaged for a longer period of time.
And cool matchups.
And cool matchups. And I think that's cool. I mean, I am, I was thinking about this earlier today and thinking about all the things, Ryan, you and I have been talking about for the last 3 months. And so much of it has been like tongue in cheek, sarcastic,
Yeah.
because of the snub and Kirk Herbstreit with the clown nose. And it's been kind of like almost like, I don't know, negative's not the right word. It's just like it didn't feel good because by nature, I'm an optimistic person. I'm a
Yeah.
positive person. This part, the college football pageant expanding, makes me happy. I am very happy about that.
Yeah.
So, have you heard, Ryan, about some other deliberations that were going on about this, about the SEC and the Big Ten trying to flex their muscle to get 4 automatic bids each?
Yeah, but in my opinion, Vince, they would be nuts not to try to do that. Like
Sure.
it's a business. So if you're a business owner and there was some kind of club or award or whatever, you're going to try to lobby your ass off to get as much as you can out of the situation, and that's your duty and due diligence to do. Doesn't mean it's going to work. Doesn't mean that's what's going to happen. But hey, it's the old can't hurt to ask, right? That's what
Yeah.
it is.
And as for right now, because the Big 12 and the ACC are still intact,
Right.
that's just not going to fly. Now, as those 2 leagues continue to just feast on the other leagues, that that blockade is going to go away. And again, another reason why, Florida State can't stay, we can't stay. It just,
It's untenable.
just can't work. Just can't work. So 5 plus 7 to me equals, I was debating whether to put 12 or to put 2 because of what the SEC and the Big Ten are trying to do.
Yeah.
Basically take over the whole thing.
It could happen, 5-10 years from now.
Absolutely. But at that point, in my opinion, I don't think it's the same thing we have now. I think the ACC is gone by
Yeah,
that point,
completely gone. Yeah.
and probably the Big 12 is gone by that point.
Yeah. And there's some
And then you
lower
have
division of football, essentially.
then you have 2 large conferences, much like the pros do, and they may not even be called SEC and Big Ten by that time, right?
Yeah.
And then the other, but then I realized that 5 plus 7 just equals money.
Yeah.
Just equals money.
Let's get some fan comments here. Brett Taylor writes 5 plus 7 equals 3 conference champions, not Big 12 or SEC, and 9 SEC Big 10 teams. Yeah, exactly. That's what it's feeling like. Absolutely.
That's what they're trying to make happen.
Kirk David Tony writes an actual home game in the playoffs instead of a neutral site. Smiley face. Absolutely. I think we're all on the same page as fans. Listen. I know they're moneymakers, but I hate neutral site games. Like, I want to go play it. If we had gotten to play at Tiger Stadium against LSU instead of
how fun would that have been?
Now, we had fun in New Orleans, but here's the
did.
thing. Even if it had been in Tiger Stadium, it's the day before, we probably would have still hung out in New Orleans.
True.
Right? So it was still been a trip. And then Kirk also writes, sounds like the NIT basketball tournament before they play the Final Four in Madison Square. They play all the games of the higher seeds team on their court and field. Yeah, that's exactly what they're going for. They won a March Madness essentially for football. That's where we're headed. When these conferences continue to expand, that's why Vince said, I agree with him. This will end up being a larger playoff field at some point because, hey, more games equals more eyeballs on the TV, more gambling. Now the gambling is legal. I don't want to underscore that. Like, there's a lot of money out there now.
Yeah. I mean, you've got plenty. I mean, you're trying to give it away by giving away a PlayStation 5. So there's money out there.
Hey, gambling man, takes money to make money. Well, I think we've covered the pageant enough for now. So I do want to get into something else, Vince. And we don't have our good friend Doug Rohan from Rohan Law to cover some of the.
He needs a little break.
Yeah, he needs a break. He's tired. But there was some language in one of the one of the filings by the ACC, essentially for the first time ever, saying, hey, Florida State could buy back their media rights and putting that out into the ether, which to me says, hey, Florida State, what you got? Maybe it's time to talk. And that's been the big scuttlebutt the whole week. Everyone's been talking about it. Florida State, clearly this is an indicator that the ACC is willing to play ball.
Well, and why would they put that out there? You could argue that their legal team is not great. First of all, you could argue that, yeah. but I think more than likely is that they know they're over a barrel.
Yeah,
they know that they, if there are, if there are 4 aces in the deck,
yeah.
Florida State is currently holding 3 and a king.
Yeah.
So that they're trying to lay the groundwork here to make people understand, or to have Florida State understand that, we might be willing to talk about this.
Yeah.
But by the way, that has always been the case.
Yeah.
So if you think back, years ago when we really started realizing that Florida State was in a position that was not going to work.
Yeah.
And that was the time you started hearing about the grant of rights, and you started hearing about the terms about ironclad, and all these
You don't
things
hear
that
that anymore.
really you don't hear that anymore. And
Yeah.
you shouldn't have even heard it then because as you've learned, Ryan, I've learned from our legal friends, our lawyer friends, is that contracts are broken all the time. It's
Mhm.
just a matter of what the negotiation is.
Sure.
So so there you go. Like it was never ironclad, and now we're getting to the point, and with all this momentum, Ryan, I'm starting to think that I'm starting to get a more positive vibe that it could be we could be in a new league next year.
Yeah, I put 80% on that based on my current feeling on what I'm reading into. And listen, it's exactly what you said. The ACC knows that hey, their ass is in the jackpot. They they are in a position where they know, and I truly believe this, Vince, that even if they thought they could win to the end, and Florida State, hey, sorry, you would have to pay this egregious amount of money, right? I believe that they know that Florida State would still pay that. They would bend over, they would take out private equity loans, and they would still take out the full amount if that's what it took. And I believe that that would happen. The ACC, because they know that will happen, but they don't want to be in this long-winded arbitration with a good potential to lose the case and end up with
Absolutely.
nothing,
Lose it outright, $0.
which is a potential. They don't want to take that risk. So what they're weighing is saying, okay, no matter what, how this happens, Florida State, as our good friend Brett Taylor put, we know you're leaving. We're willing to negotiate. Let's come to the table. So if you are a betting man, you would say the final agreement, if there is one to be had, will probably be somewhere between the two figures of zero and the full amount, somewhere in that
It
200 250 million range.
Yeah, it's not going to be anywhere near the full amount. You and I have already talked about this,
Yep.
and I think most people that are not hanging on for dear life for the conference understand the reality of the situation that Florida State is going to get out of this league for well under $200 million.
Yeah.
I stated in a show a couple months ago, maybe a month ago, that I'm thinking probably in the 70 to $80 million.
I would go a little higher. I would say 150 to 200.
Um, if Florida State wants to get out by next year, I would agree with you.
Yeah. That's what I'm betting on.
But let's say Florida State and the ACC. What if the ACC says you stay in the league one more year, we'll cut it in half.
What would that benefit the ACC though?
I don't know. I'm just saying those are the types of things that could bring the number down when you're at the negotiation.
Yeah.
And the question is what Florida State's palette is in
Yeah.
terms of that. We all know, Ryan, I know all of all the FSU followers, all the streamers, all the creators, all of the actual real life professional journalists all know for a fact right now that if it was only the exit penalty of 120 million roughly or whatever it was, 125, we'd already be gone.
Yeah.
Like that money is already there and ready to go.
Yeah.
So, at a minimum, I would say they're ready to do that. But
Sure.
it, is it worth it? I would if okay, so if they can get out by next season, between 150 and 200 million, I think they will do that.
For sure.
I think they will do that.
Yeah, and listen, ACC, we're not interested in playing the next 10 ACC championships in North Carolina. Uh, as apparently is what if we were to continue on in the ACC, apparently the ACC believes it's in the best interest of all the member institutions to play the conference
Neutral
championship.
sites,
Yeah, in North Carolina for
all of them,
eternity. All of them.
all
There's
of
not
them.
one. Why, Vince? Why take it to other states and spread the love?
They were willing to go across the country to pull in some non-football serious schools, but they're not serious enough to have championship or playoffs and conference tournaments anywhere else but in the state of North Carolina. This is the problem and has been the problem since the beginning. And it's not obviously it's not changing, right? No
Yeah.
one's learned a lesson here. Jim Phillips, which is weird, who's not, he's not ACC guy from way back when, right? He
Yeah.
hasn't been sipping tea for all that long. He's not even a voice of reason in all this. Like, hey, we've got to start
Maybe him and
thinking
Chad are
about,
friends now.
right. We need to think about getting out of the triangle.
Yeah.
But nope, they're not going to do it, and they
Yeah.
are going to, because of that. The ACC is, maybe 2 more years as
Yeah.
is. Maybe we got some comments and some questions, Ryan.
Yeah. Let's go through them.
Gabby says, SEC possibly. Sorry if this was already talked about. I just hopped on. Well, welcome, Gabby. I doubt it. I
But it's
doubt it
possible.
more. It's always, anything's possible. I doubt it more and more every day.
Mhm.
I doubt it more and more every day. And with some of the stuff that's going around today about, it's not really the ESPN that's saying this, but ACC is basically stumping for ESPN about how ESPN's trade secrets were breached when Florida State basically revealed that there was this super secret negotiation point in 2027 where ESPN could
2017.
no. What on the renew?
Got it. I thought you were talking about
On the
the
renew. Like there's this super secret thing and ESPN can choose to do it or not do it. And that's some kind of trade secret. No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So
In
there's
fact,
too
that's
much,
against Florida law for that to be the case.
there's too much bad blood and it's not getting better. Like we don't hear about it. Maybe there's some stuff going on behind closed doors to mend fences. I don't know. But if I was in leadership at Florida State and I knew that I had a landing spot in the Big Ten, which I believe they do, and the SEC came calling last minute, there's no way.
Yep.
There's no way.
Yeah, not with all the drama. It would just be wild for that to happen. Like just to me that's almost out of the possibility.
Kirk, by the way, Kirk, I'm sorry about the fact that you and Kirk Herbstreit have the same first name.
That's unfortunate.
That is
But we love you.
unfortunate. But you are the anti-Kirk as far as I'm concerned. Is it still a possibility that we can exit without paying anything? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. If they want to take this thing to the bitter end, which I don't think either party does, but if that came about, I think there is the possibility that
Sure.
that Florida State could get out without paying a dime. There are some people that I've heard say that the ACC has harmed Florida State.
Hmm.
And I've heard people say there are circumstances where the ACC would have to pay Florida State on the way out,
Which would be incredible.
well, that'd be very funny. Tracy McLaughlin Jenkinson. Hello, Tracy. How are you? Thank you for joining the show tonight. Big Ten. I'm with you. I'm with you on the Big Ten thing. Before we pull up some more comments here, I wanted to make mention of something else. We haven't talked about this in a while, right? I noticed a Facebook like on our show, and the Facebook like was from Fishweir. And we haven't talked about Fishweir in a while. If you are living in the northern Florida area, northeast Florida area, and you're looking for a cool place to hang out, Fishweir Brewing Company, obviously brewing their own beer, great bar, great backyard area, and they are Knoll owned, and they love the Knolls. So if you're looking for a cool place to go, Fishweir. I thought we haven't talked about them in a while, so I thought I'd.
Listen, maybe someday there'll be so many locations like Peach Trees in Georgia.
Could be. Could be. All right, let's see what we got here. Jump in the chat if you have some more comments.
Let's talk real quick, Vince, about all the teams announcing on X today. That we're in the game, and that includes Kirk Herbstreit. Vince, will you be going into settings, in-game commentary, and sliding that slider down, or you know what? Are you just gonna roll with it and just poke fun at his commentary?
Listen, whatever mechanism this game has, I hope I have control over lots of stuff. Right. And I put this ticker up here because if you're on Twitter, if you're on X and you're not following Ryan, you're not following me, you could just and maybe you don't tweet a lot. Maybe you're just a lurker. That's old terminology. Maybe you're just a lurker. You should do it just for watching Ryan and I and what we comment with Kirk. Because
And other people as well.
And not just us. I'm not bashing his family or anything like that. I'm not doing anything like that. But what I'm hoping for is that you're able to put custom skins on the announcers.
Yeah.
Because I would love to have a custom clown outfit to put on Kirk as we listen to him babble on and on and on about stuff that he claims to have no subjectivity about. And he's just an objective journalist.
I plan on going into edit rosters and literally putting every Ohio State player in the transfer portal and sending them all to Delaware State. And then Ohio State will go 0-12 for the year. And Kirk Herbstreit will have to say, it's a shame what happened to my Buckeyes. Florida State's just a premier program. Hey, real quick, Tracy is absolutely right. No matter where we go, just send the Chiefs all the damn time.
It's true.
Because, Vince, can you talk about that for a second?
Yes. Before I do that, though, I want to get my last little dig in on the clown. When I get the game, I'm going to build a custom Ohio State team with all the players, with all the last name Herbstreit 1, Herbstreit 2, Herbstreit 3, and they're all going to have the lowest ability ever. And I want Herbstreit to say on the game over and over again, Herbstreit fumbles, Herbstreit, gets hurt. That's the kind of pain I'm dealing with here.
Charisma set to 0.
Charisma definitely set to 0.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. Let's do a quick chat about. But I do want to get back to the game. But let's talk about the Chiefs real quick. I did a short show was it last week?
Yeah,
I think it was last week.
It was on Saturday.
When we found out that we had some better clarity on what was going to happen with the Chiefs in terms of Ireland. And if you would like to know more about that, go back and watch it. Got to get the views up, right? But in that show, talked about, which Chiefs, what groups of Chiefs are going to be able to go, approximately how much that's going to cost, and then some mechanisms on how to support the effort, not just for Ireland, but for all the damn time, like all the games, all the away games, as many as we can get to. And so, like clockwork, Madison Social steps up to the plate, and they have this shirt, which basically has a limerick on it. On the front, Madison Social, and the limerick on the back. That a significant portion of that purchase goes to the Chiefs. Here's the limerick itself. And I'm not going to read it to you. I'm sure you can read him. You probably have seen this already.
Let's read it out for those who are listening on the audio version of the podcast.
Good point. Good point, Ryan. Thank you. Unconquered, they march for a team set to climb. World renowned, and it's their time to shine. To Ireland they go for one hell of a show. It's the marching Chiefs all the damn time.
Do you think you had any influence in this push, Vince? I think as an influencer, Vince, which you are by far top tier influencer on X, I think you push this forward, Vince. I really do.
I don't care if I am or I'm not. I'm just happy it's happening. And of course, they have the pint glasses as well with the same stuff on it. So if you're not a shirt person, maybe need some more pint glasses for the cupboard. We all need more glasses. And like I said, um, a, a good portion of the purchase goes directly to the Chiefs for travel. It's worth it, people. It's worth it if you haven't already done it.
Tracy writes, she ordered 6 of the shirts, I'm supposing. Support Chiefs always. I absolutely agree. Hey, listen, we all love when we hear the war chant playing in the background of those games. Think how loud the war chant was, at some of the games this past year, and you could hear them at the end of the games. It's incredible. We want that to happen every game, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was a shirt made about that, about the
Mhm.
war chant being
Too loud.
annoying.
Yeah.
No kidding. Like, what are we supposed to do?
One
That's
last
that's
thing,
what it's
Vince.
for. Yeah.
I think this is probably our last topic because we might do a show next week, and maybe we talk about the future events of FSU basketball next week. I'm in the mood for that. But
Yeah. Sure.
can we talk about the delusion and the trend of delusion that is Miami's offseason titles already beginning? I mean, all over the place. Timothy Johnson, who, man, search that guy on X.
He's a fun follow. He
Touchdown
really
Timothy.
is.
Yeah, touchdown Timothy. And many other Miami Hurricane fans still claiming, hey, 5 rings, right? That's what they got to go on still. Already are saying and talking trash about, hey, Florida State this, Florida State that, not that great. You guys barely, and it guys, I enjoy it so much. Normally like these kind of things, these rivalries, it's all about like the hatred and going back and forth. But in reality, we're to a point now where Miami has been so irrelevant for so long that it's comical, and we look forward to the offseason titles. And Vince, I saw it was funny because one of the news reports today said on the EA Sports college football game, one thing that won't be in the game are official coaches this year. Like essentially
The
there'll
real
be
coaches,
the
yeah,
real
it'll be just
coaches.
some generic
And
coach.
someone retweeted that and said Miami fans should be thrilled about this.
UFN Miami fans are thrilled with this update.
Yeah, I think what that means in the game for Miami fans playing the college football game is that the knee will be in the playbook.
Yeah.
The QB kneel.
Our friend Raj is rolling his eyes at this point. Rightly so, Raj, rightly so. But it is, I mean, you can't argue with the fact that, I mean, we're going on 20 plus years of off-season championships. Undisputed.
Undisputed, yeah.
And I get wanting to, pump your team up and being optimistic about your team. I try to be optimistic about my even when we were, even when we didn't have a hotel within, 2 hours of Notre Dame. I was optimistic about my team. But it's at a whole nother level. And I think sane Hurricane fans would agree that it's at a weird level that but I'll tell you what, man, they will not ever predict anything other than 9 or 10 wins every season. So good for them.
I want to put up one. I like to add a
Hold
little
on.
flavor into the show.
Okay, go ahead, because I was going to pull Raj's comment up.
Let's do
His
that
last
first.
one.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Raj says, totally agree to accept. He's referencing Miami. However, the program
Yeah.
is on the best path over the last 2 years that's had since 2002. Hey, listen, Raj.
I agree with you on that.
I think we agree that it's not that it's a dumpster fire right now. What it is,
No.
though, and I think, Raj, you would agree that the amount of Miami fans claiming this is the year, talking big, like, big 10 plus wins, 11 wins is maybe a tad too optimistic. If I was an optimistic, level-headed Miami fan, I would say let's go. Let's get to 8 to 9 wins and at least be in it in the ACC championship. Let's try to get there. Not, hey, we're going to kill everyone on the schedule. Clemson's going down. Florida State's going down, and we're gonna win the ACC and go to the playoff.
Yeah, I will say though, I mean, it's social media, so you're gonna get the crazies all the time.
Touchdown,
AC
Timothy.
AC underscore counts C. AC
Accounts.
counts accounts. C. Okay. You guys are thinking with your feelings. It's business. SEC comes calling, FSU is in. I don't see them wanting to send their sports teams across the country. Football games in the snow. What do you think about that, Ryan? I have my thoughts on that. What do you think?
Agree to disagree. Um, but I'm going to put this in a metaphor, Vince, or an example. Uh, Vince, you and I used to work together.
We
You
still
know,
do in this
yeah,
venue.
professionally though, in the
Yeah.
IT field. Uh, let's say hypothetically, let's just say hypothetically, but things didn't end well, or there's some arguments and there's some problems there.
Mhm.
And I'm over in this other area and I'm doing my thing, and then two positions open up. One at a brand new company that I've never worked for, that has never done me any harm, that says, "Hey, we're going to offer you a good offer here, but you know what? You got to drive a little bit further. You know, it's not right by your house, but we want you here." Or
And the pay's great.
and it pays great. Or the company that I've already had interactions with, because ESPN owns the contract rights for the ACC, says, "Hey, we have a job open. Um, hey, good money. You come work for us."
We'll take you. Let's see how it works out.
Yeah, I would probably go with a company that's really excited to get someone of my caliber
That's right.
to be the new exciting member in a whole different area that they've never had someone in this area, and they're like really excited about it. Versus, yeah, we really just don't want that company to hire you, and we're a little worried about how successful you might be there. So come on, you know what? I guess you can come back here.
Mhm.
That's how I feel about it. Is that it's really the person that you know and is a little shady, the person that you haven't ever worked with, that clean slate.
Yeah. Uh, I would be shocked. Account C, or AC count C. I would be shocked if it's the SEC. It would actually make me question the um, the overall vision of leadership.
Hmm.
It really would. And forget about games in the snow, whatever, and traveling, whatever with that too, because, we're going to Boston College, we're going to Syracuse, we're going to Pitt, we're someday, if this thing doesn't get cleaned up anytime soon, we're going to be going out to California. I mean, the travel is whatever.
Yeah,
When you make it to the Big Ten, just think about the extra dollars that go into that that you're going to get
yeah.
for that. So,
Think about what the tickets go for when Ohio State rolls into Doak Campbell Stadium.
yeah, and they also would have to come down and play in the
Hmm.
sweltering heat and humidity, which is not great for them. And I do believe, and I've promoted this for months now. I do believe the end game is for the Big Ten to have a Southern swing,
Yeah,
and eventually, when that happens, you will have a good pod of Southern teams that could be your counterparts. So you're
agreed.
never going to avoid travel, right?
Yeah,
The women's basketball team right now is putting it to Boston College, 82-60. They're in the fourth quarter right now.
a little better off than the women's softball team this year.
That was a rough weekend.
Sure
It's a
was.
rough weekend. They need to figure out what's going on with the pitching
I've
staff.
never been so happy for a game to get canceled.
Yeah, they got canceled on Sunday night because of the weather, and yeah, it just it's weird because you're used to them just dominating, and they have a pretty young team, so it's going to take a little while. But I'm pretty confident in that staff to figure all that out. But if you can't pitch, if you don't have a pitching staff that you can count on, especially in women's softball, I mean, it is it's it's rounding the bases constantly, rounding the bases.
Yep.
What
I
else
think
we got on the agenda here, Ryan?
I think that's about it. One thing I do want to say is thank you to everyone, because once again, you know, Vince and I just started this for ourselves, just to talk about Florida State because we love Florida State. We started a few years ago, and you guys have made this into something that Vince and I are very proud of, and very proud to call you all our friends. Because when you guys show up every week, and we see you guys, the same ones coming in and some new people sprinkling in, and you're here all the time. Even after we get off the show, Vince and I are talking like, this is awesome. Like
This is
these
awesome.
they're
This is
great.
awesome.
So thank you so much.
Yeah, let me give a metaphor for you, an analogy for you. When you're going to church and you're having like your bring a friend week,
Yeah.
and the pastor's like, "Hey, next week's bring a friend week. Find someone you've been thinking about," and you're like, "Yeah, I'm a little hesitant to ask them. I don't know what they'll think or whatever." It's like, let's make next week bring a friend week. Bring a friend week, because just in today's show, we've already climbed another 3 subscribers.
Yeah, which is great.
That's awesome. That's awesome, Ryan. I really appreciate it. I think that's good, Ryan. I
Yeah.
appreciate everybody chiming in here. We got another comment. I appreciate everybody chiming in, and subscribing and liking and smashing like buttons and all the other things. Ryan and I will be back at the very minimum next Thursday at 7. And at some point, Ryan is going to have some stuff to deliver that Ryan and I have been talking about for a while, but
It's still coming.
okay. We'll leave it at that. Send Chiefs all the damn time.
Go to Madison Social, get your shirts, and support the Chiefs.
Go get your shirts. Go to the participate in the FSU Great Give.
Yeah.
I think it's March 6th. And then go also to the travel endowment. You can
Yeah.
do money that way.
Yeah.
And then eventually we'll see the coaches club for the Chiefs as
well. Also, go get yourself a margarita because it's National Margarita Day. Did you know that, Vince?
Today it is?
Yeah.
No, it's a day. There's a day for everything.
Yeah, there sure is. Like there really is. I have a guy at work who, in our team meetings every day, tells me whatever the holiday is for that day on the
That's good.
holiday counters.
That's great.
And it's interesting sometimes, but it's fun. So everyone, go have yourself a margarita. Thursday.
It's like a little Friday.
To be honest with you, when you get to work on Fridays, do you really need to be at 100? Sometimes rolling there a little sleepy.
Ryan's still in cruise mode.
Vince, I never left. In fact, maybe at some point we got to discuss the potential of a Garnet and Gold Garnet and Old cruise. Yeah. Almost copyright infringement there.
Yeah. Good. Go Noles.
No inside cabin. No drink limit. No problem.
No inside cabin. No Dramamine. No problem.
Go Noles, everyone. Have a great rest of your week.
Good night.